While the last episode focused on what to do if you're unemployed in 2024, this episode is all about negotiating your next job offer. You've navigated every step of the interview process and are now waiting for that offer. And when it arrives, you know the company wants you. And then you take a look at the compensation package and you either aren't thrilled with what's there or you believe you can ask for more. But how do you do it? In this episode, I am joined by salary negotiations expert Dorothy Mashburn. We will help you get over your fear of asking too much or being perceived as greedy to help you love the job you are going to get while being proud of yourself for negotiating your best job offer. Let's get started. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the Mid-Career GPS podcast. I'm your host, John Nerrill. I help mid-career professionals find a job they love or love the job they have using my proven four-step formula. Today's guest is top interview and salary negotiations coach, Dorothy Mashburn. Dorothy helps professionals double their compensation by teaching you how to think big, get confidence, and stand up for your worth. Dorothy is the host of the Salary Negotiations Made Simple podcast and joins me to share strategies to help you navigate your next job offer. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Dorothy Mashburn. Dorothy, I am so excited to have this conversation today. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, John. Thank you for having me in the studio today.
Wonderful to have you here. So, Dorothy, we're going to talk a little bit today about pay raises and salary negotiations and compensations. But before we get all into that, I'd love for you to share with us what was your mid-career moment that dramatically shaped the way your career is today?
So my mid-career moment, I would say I mentored a lot of younger, inexperienced people coming in through the ranks. And I was mentoring them ad hoc and somebody reached out. But around mid-career, I felt that I needed to be more formal about it because I noticed that there was a trend. A lot of people were saying things like, I want to go after that promotion, but I don't know if I deserve it. I want to get a pay raise, but I don't know if I deserve it. I want to talk to the president of our company, but I'm not sure if I have anything worthwhile to say. And that really made me sad, if you will, because we teach a lot about finance and marketing and accounting. And I feel like over the years I've mastered it. But what people don't have is a way to navigate their careers, to feel confident. And so I really formalized that in my job that I had a formalized mentorship program where people could reach out and link with me. And then, of course, that led to the business later on. But that was my defining moment.
So, what you shared there is such a common thought or limiting belief for mid-career professionals where they'll say, I don't know if I have anything to add, or do I deserve it? And I'm curious from your work when you help people, especially around negotiating their compensation, what is the biggest hurdle you find that you have to help them through in order to believe they are truly worth what they're asking for?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is the fear of people thinking that people are greedy, people thinking that you are greedy. One thing people don't realize is that even when we try to achieve high, we don't go high enough. So there is an outer bound to our potential, whether we ask for more or we try to do more. But we never reach, when we try to do it on our own, that outer bound is so far away from our reach. So people don't realize that. So if they're asking for $50,000 more, they will self-correct and ask for $10,000 more. But technically, they could have probably gone up to 80,000 more with another person helping them or someone else negotiating on their behalf, but they never get to that number. And in fact, even when they go high, they tend to negotiate against themselves and club it down. So trying to get over that fear is a big one that I help a lot of my clients through.
How would somebody enlist the help of someone like you in a negotiations process when they've got the job offer, they've got the welcome packet, they see the number in front of them? Are they reaching out to you then for assistance, or is it before that?
They technically a negotiation is more of a whole strategy. So if you're building a building, right, you're going to lay the foundation first. You're going to have the pillars and the frame, and then you start doing everything else. So full on negotiation where you can double or triple your salary is something where you build from ground up and you put all of the pieces in your favor. And that's what negotiation gives you the maximum leverage. However, there are a lot of clients who are needing help at the last moments, like the 48-hour period. And at that point, what we do is review a lot of what is it that client really wants in their life. Is it purely of money? And that's completely fine. Is it more flexibility with their family? And that's fine too. So all of those things will actually determine, but we do a 48-hour review and we go into like, what are your trades? And how do we maximize this package by doing the trades with this company? And that's how you can, in the last minute, get more money.
So I'm going to jump to a question I was going to ask you later on, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask you right now. There are some job seekers who often worry or are fearful that once they start negotiating, their job offer is going to be rescinded. That they may be perceived as, to your point, greedy or asking for too much or even being quote unquote difficult. What advice would you give to somebody listening today who is fearful that if they ask for what they want in the negotiations process or they ask for one more thing, that they're worried they're going to lose the job offer and essentially be back to square one?
This is a question that a lot of people ask. And I have to remind people that in my 20 years of doing this work, it has happened once. And I'll give you why. But it has never happened as long as you ask professionally and you have integrity during the ask. So here's what. So if you say, I love this company, I would love to be part of this and impact. However, the market average is at 250,000, and we need to find a way to get me there. So that's a very different conversation too, because now you're putting both of you in a conversational problem solving situation. However, if you say, oh yeah, I love this 200,000, and 2 days later and you go back, oh, I changed my mind, I want to be at 250. Now that is when somebody will question your integrity, or someone will question whether you are truly stable professional, if you will. So that's where, that's where the concerns, it's not a concern if you ask, it's a concern of how you ask, and in what way you show up as a professional with integrity. Now the person that one time it has happened is they put their ask in an email, and they wrote a novel pretty much in the email, and that got circulated around the various executive leadership, and one of the stakeholders raised the concern that this person may not be a right fit in the culture. And so and it's only happened once in 20 years, but there's very, very slim chances that a job offer gets rescinded.
Hey, thank you for sharing those examples. And my takeaway from that is be very intentional about what you say in this entire process. Because once you put it out there, be it verbally or in writing, they're going to have a thought and a feeling and reaction to it. And to your point, if you're not negotiating with integrity, or you say, oh, maybe I could just get a little bit more, and you go back and do that ask, that essentially can put you in some kind of jeopardy for the position.
Absolutely, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, right? You can still, in negotiation parlance, nibble. So say you ask for 250 and they come back at 220, and their prescribed vacation schedule is only 3 weeks. So you could at that point say, hey, I really wanted 250, but I know budgets are a problem, so I can accept 220 if we make the vacation 5 weeks.
Okay.
So you can nibble and get more for yourself, and you absolutely should. That's how you make your compensation package bigger. But you have to do it in the right way so it doesn't come across as being dishonest or trying to put pull wool over their eyes.
So when you think about those other things that you can negotiate for in an overall compensation package, how much are you still seeing signing bonuses in today's market?
Signing bonuses, if they want you,
Mhm.
it's absolutely possible. If the company, so that is why I also teach interview skills, because during the interview skills, you want to come across during the interview process, you want to come across as somebody who is the dream candidate. And once that is the case, you can ask for signing bonuses to make any differential out. So that's why, when you ask for your base, go high, right? Aim high, and then inevitably they'll push back. And so whatever delta is there, you can make up with either signing bonus or any other perks. However, just remember the signing bonus is usually a one-time thing. So it's always better to get the base or the performance bonus.
Absolutely. So then how do you know if you're going high enough in your initial salary request?
Yeah. It's the ideal world would be if you have somebody else negotiate for you, and of course that's not a luxury we all have. So what I ask people to do is triangulate from three different sources of market data. So if you go to your sites like Glassdoor or Indeed or Payscale, there are salary calculators. So you use that as a data point. Then you go to your network, and that's why informational interviews are so important, and ask, like, in the region and the function and the years of experience as somebody else as you would have, how much, what range are they getting paid at? And then finally, you go to specific sites, like for tech, Levels FYI is a good site, Team Blind is a good site, and you then triangulate a number from there. And again, if people are worried that you are going to be too out there, take that fear out of you, because most of the times we tend to ratchet down.
Hey there, we'll get back to the episode in a moment, but I want to give you something game changing, a golden ticket that is like having a roadmap to take you from career confusion to clarity in minutes. Introducing the Mid-Career Job Seekers Checklist. It is your secret weapon in your job search. And if you feel like navigating your job search right now is like navigating a maze blindfolded, don't worry, my friend, I got your back. This checklist is a powerhouse of organization and preparation, crafted to make you say goodbye to feeling overwhelmed and hello to a career transition made easy. I want you to head on over to johnnarrell.com to snag your free copy of the Mid-Career Job Seekers Checklist. It's not just a checklist, it is a career compass to help you find that job you're going to love. Now, let's dive back into the episode. So we have, let's say, for example, we have a mid-career job seeker who is getting ready to welcome an offer. They've gotten through the final round. They know that it's coming. And they're sitting there and they're going, ugh, when they ask me what I want to be paid. We get to that point, whether they've filled out on an application leading to it or not. In your expertise, are they better off giving a number or a salary range when asked what they want to be compensated at?
Yeah, I would say a range. So during the preparation side, you develop a three-part number. So your dream number, that is kind of like the pie in the sky number. Your desired number, that's the minimum you would accept, and a deal breaker number, right? So deal breaker is you walk away. This is not the job for you. And so you start with what you know, don't use a deal breaker, but what you do is your desired and your dream, and put that out there. So at the very minimum, you're putting your desired as the low end of the range.
I like how you phrased it as a dream number, a desired number, and a deal breaker. And I've never heard it phrased that way before. So kudos on that because I think that's super, super smart. From the company side, how true is it that they're always going to try to bring exceptional talent in as low as possible?
I think, that's a really good question, John. There is, of course, different literature on this. If your goal is to get to the hiring manager as a company, as a candidate, because a hiring manager is suffering the day in and day out of the pain of not having this person in seat. And so if you talk to the hiring manager, they will bring you in at just about any price, because really what they're losing from not getting somebody in that seat is exponentially higher than paying you 10, 20, $30,000 more. Now, HR and recruitment have different objectives from the company side that they have to march to. They're asked to make sure that it's competitive, make sure that it's not the top of the line, because you don't have any room to grow for them, for that person. So it's, with HR and recruitment, you want to be more subtle with how much you want so you can get a foot in the door. But when you talk to your hiring manager, you can be a little bit more aggressive, and still really focus on the skills and how you'll make their life better. And that's a winning combination of strategy. And because the hiring manager isn't really that interested in bringing you in at the lowest price, they just want you in.
Right. I remember talking with an HR colleague of mine a number of years ago and talked to a few others as well to kind of see if this quote unquote HR math actually worked or was relevant. But what I was told was that from the company side, especially when you have levels that are, they have a band or a range within that. So to make the math easy, we'll say, let's say for this managerial role, it's between 100 and 200,000. That it's in the company's best interest to bring somebody in at the 25th percentile.
Mm-hmm.
So 125K, because as they stay in that role for, say, 3 years and they gain skills and they gain experience, their annual increase, in addition to whatever cost of living, would eventually move them up to or around the 50th percentile in those 3 years. And that when they elevate into that next role and they get promoted, that new level puts them at the 25th percentile of that new pay band. So it brings me to this question to ask you. So when somebody's negotiating for an internal promotion and they have had conversations with colleagues where they think, and I'm going to use the verb think because unless they're actually looking at everybody's pay stub, they're going by whatever people are telling them. But they think that they're not being paid equally or fairly as somebody else. And they want to go and negotiate for an adjustment, either in role or specifically when they're getting promoted. What tips or advice do you have for them to negotiate that internal promotion more strategically?
Yeah, yeah. That is actually something we come across, I come across all the time. And especially because a lot of people are happy in their role, but they do feel like they're not being compensated to the degree that they could be. So for that, you definitely want to triangulate the three numbers that I spoke about before, from three different sites. One is a specific site to your industry, one is a generic site, and then one is from your peer review. But definitely talk to your manager about it, but give them plenty of heads up. So don't surprise them, and know about your company. Like the time is right when the company is doing well. If financials are great, stock price is great, or whatever the company's situation is from a structure perspective, that's a great year for you to ask for an adjustment. And then budget time is another great time to say, budgets are being set. I'm going to be asking for a pay adjustment. This is my justification. And let your manager and HR partner know so they can start adding that in the budget discussions. Performance review, a lot of companies are going through now, is a great time to bring it up. And then just have a conversation, but always talk about the forward-looking skills that you will bring and the impact. So you'll say something like, last year was a great year for me and my team. We delivered double-digit growth. Next year, my five-year strat plan is showing a 15% growth. I want to continue to impact this organization, but based on this data, have a one-pager ready and say, based on this data, I believe my compensation needs to be at 190. And then you'll get pushback, and they'll say, I want to go to HR or finance to get approval, and that's fine. Just time bound them. Okay, thank you for listening to me and hearing me out. Shall we meet in another 2 weeks? And then go from there.
That point about time bounding a leader to come back with an answer is so smart. And I couldn't agree with you more, because these are difficult conversations for managers where, depending on how well experienced or versed or comfortable they are with having these kinds of conversations, they may not be comfortable having it. Right. And so setting a time agreement to say, look, let's put some time on the calendar in 2 weeks. Can we agree to that? You will know right away whether they're going to hold that meeting or they're going to hedge on it or not. But that's such a smart move to do it in a way, to use your word earlier about doing it with integrity, but to partner with them on ensuring you're appropriately compensated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Well, I want to let everybody know who's listening. If you are not following Dorothy Mashburn on LinkedIn, I want you to go ahead and connect with her and follow her. I mean, obviously, don't do it while you're driving, but do it when you're safe. But Dorothy, you've got a great newsletter as well that you publish frequently. And I want to bring up something that you published just a few weeks ago that had to do with encouraging people to double their salary in 90 days. And I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about the rationale and that particular strategy to help people get more by asking for doubling their salary.
Yep, absolutely. It goes back to my earlier point about going big. So a lot of people don't go big enough. And, if I or you, John, we've been in this industry for a while, but even when we are negotiating for ourselves, we will find ways. So say I'm making 100,000 today, I need to make 200,000. If we try to not go big, if we try to be rational about it, we'll say 20% is good enough. And they might balk at 20%. Let me go at 15. I think that's fair. We're going to split the difference. We'll go for 115, right? So that's usually what's going on in our internal chatter. And what I encourage people to do is double your salary, right? And say, I want to go for 200,000. And you want to aim to fail. So if you aim to fail, this is what I mean. Even if you say 200,000 and the company pushes back, say you have a new job offer and the company pushes back and says 200 is way too high, we can do 180, right? You failed for your 200,000 ask, but you still made so much more than the 115 you were going to go with originally. So that's that. And then 180, then still keep pushing. Like, I will ask you to push yourself to say, okay, I wanted 200, you got me to 180. How about a leadership career coach? It's valued at 20,000. Can you get me there? Right? A lot of companies have amazing professional development opportunities. Budgets are pretty much untapped in many companies. Not a lot of people use them. And so that is a lot of flexibility for the hiring manager to get you there. So now you got 180 plus the $20,000 leadership coaching. So you're at 190. Then you're not done yet. You say, okay, well, market is 200. I asked for 200 and I want to be flexible. I want to be a cooperative problem solver here. How about you add an extra day of vacation, extra week of vacation, and more times than none, they'll say, yep, sure, extra week of vacation or charity event or flexible Fridays, whatever that want is for you, ask for that. And so doing this holding out this strategy or deploying this strategy gets you far more in overall compensation than you would just saying, okay, I'm going to tug of war this 100,000 to see if I can like push it up just a little bit versus going big and then building your strategy from there.
That's really good. And I like how you gave us some ideas that really are very creative and leveraging different aspects of the company that many mid-career professionals may not be considering, be it the internal coach or be it the extra vacation, to use that as leverage in terms of ultimately getting whatever they want. So thank you
Yes,
for that. All right.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Dorothy, as we start wrapping up here and thinking about everything we've talked about today, what particular either salary or negotiating type advice would you give for someone listening to help them build that part of their mid-career GPS?
Yeah, yeah. I would say that start planning your career. Not this year's, the next year's, and third, fourth, fifth. Your long-term career plan. Like if you don't do that, chance is going to make it very random for you. So you have to be very intentional about building out your career plan. And once you have that plan, then the things you ask for in any negotiation becomes second nature. So I'll give you an example. So in the example of where you ask for a internal or external leadership coach, say you want to be a CEO someday of a Fortune 500 company. If you get that leadership coach, you can start building your executive presence. You can start building your communication skills. So those are some of the things you negotiate in your salary because that's going to take you to your ultimate goal. So if you have a plan in place, you can absolutely negotiate the things that will get you to your end state. Does that make sense?
It does. Absolutely. So I thank you for that. And it's all part of how when we continually build our mid-career GPS, that planning is such a huge part of it. So I love how you gave us some things to consider, not just for the immediacy, but also for down the road. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And resonated with me about your newsletter today, that about having a plan and having the 4 F's in place.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Thank you for that. Well, Dorothy, I'm going to turn the mic over to you because if people want to follow, connect, learn more about you, or even enlist your help in negotiating their next offer, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, my friend. Tell us all the good things about how people can connect with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Again, you can reach me in LinkedIn. I also have a TikTok channel. It's DorothyMashburn.com is my website. You can also follow my podcast. I have some great leaders who provide industry expertise and insights on the podcast. It's called Salary Negotiations Made Simple. It's available on all of the major podcasting channels. Please like, share, and repost any of my content. I am on a mission to help as many professionals as I can to really get their arms around compensation and salary. So happy to help and happy to be part of this community.
Well, I will make sure all of that is in the show notes, but more importantly, you are doing such incredible work. And I love how you are just positioning yourself very strategically to help all these people. So Dorothy Mashburn, thank you so much for being a wonderful guest on the Mid-Career GPS podcast.
Thank you, John. It's been great talking with you.
All right, my friends, if there is one takeaway from today's episode, for me, it's this: aim high. Dorothy gave us some great examples about how so often mid-career professionals don't ask for enough because you're playing it too safely or you're afraid about being greedy. As you go back and listen to this episode, and I hope you will, keep in mind that aiming high may mean that you still may fail a little bit, but you will still end up far better off than what you would if you just played it safe. So until next time, my friends, remember this: you will build your mid-career GPS 1 mile or 1 step at a time, and how you show up matters. Make it a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the Mid-Career GPS podcast. Make sure to follow on your favorite listening platform. And if you have a moment, I'd love to hear your comments on Apple Podcasts. Visit johnnerrell.com for more information about how I can help you build your mid-career GPS or how I can help you and your organization with your next workshop or public speaking event. Don't forget to connect with me on LinkedIn and follow me on social at John Darrell Coaching. I look forward to being back with you next week. Until then, take care, and remember, how we show up matters.